I want to
But
talk
yeah,
about. We might as well stick on. To be honest with you, in terms of next season, if Taylor Barnard is, I expect Taylor Barnard to still be in the series, but I think he could be one that could push Roland. But I want to talk about Roland's teammate because I know we had a discussion about this, and
yeah,
I have a big soft spot for Norman. Right, I'm
you
gonna
do,
be
you
honest. I
do.
have a soft spot for Norman, the journeyman of Formula E, and he's shown good one lap pace, right? And the pace was there, but I don't. I would love to have been there to ask him what on earth happened. And then it's got me thinking because Nissan got rid of Sacha Fenestraz for Norman last August, which feels like a lifetime ago that happened. And I'm starting to sit here thinking I was also a big fan of Sacha Fenestraz, and I was like, if Nissan got rid of him, if I was a team principal, I'd sign him because what he showed in his debut season, I said there's potential there. You just need to wrap your arm around him, give him some confidence, show him some love, and I'm sure he'd be up there. And I'm starting to think now, have Nissan made a mistake? Could Sasha have done a better job with this car than what Norman's had?
I mean, I'll be honest. I was surprised that they decided to, part ways with Sasha in the first place, given how not only how young he is, the fact that actually, as you point out, in his debut season, he was so strong. And we've seen before that drivers tend to then have a difficult second season. Obviously, Jake Hughes is now, ever since he claimed the podium in Jeddah, he's having a really tough year now. I think Sasha's a massive talent, and I think it's sad that. So I appreciate he's obviously racing over in Japan, I think it is, but
Yes.
his career is kind of hit a bit of a pause in
Yeah.
terms of progression up the ladder because of what happened in Formula E. I would love to see him come back. Obviously, he's also, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, a simulator driver for an F1 team. I'm not too sure who. I've got a good idea who would be, but I won't say it just in case I'm wrong. Again, I'm give him why they didn't give him another season. I don't quite know because Ollie's the kind of driver with his experience who could help Sasha. And even Sasha pointed out himself a lot last season that he was learning so much from Ollie. Whereas, Norman isn't going to learn stuff from Ollie, you'd imagine, because they're a similar age. And
Yep.
I do think Norman's time in FE is and probably should be done. An absolutely lovely guy.
Yep.
But if Nissan don't win, to be honest with you, if they don't win the drivers' title, the team's championship, and the manufacturers, given how dominant Ollie is, that for me would be deemed as a failure by the team. Because if you had a driver, to put it into a bit of perspective, where's Norman in the championship? He's 19th, if I'm not mistaken, on just 11 points. He claimed all his points in Miami. Of course, again, he should have won, or should have, would have won that race if not for
Yep.
the attack mode chaos. But he's only finished in the points once all season with what is quite clearly one of, if not the best car on the grid, and that was
Yep.
obviously in Miami. Yes, okay, he made the duels in both race and Tokyo. Some things haven't gone his way. He's had some bad luck,
Yep.
but actually, there's been times this year where Monaco was a fine example where Ollie was at the front throughout the weekend. Norman was nowhere. In
Yeah.
Monaco, Norman qualified in 18th and 15th, finished in 14th and 13th. He just hasn't had the pace, whether it's, and it's, I think he probably knows it. You'd have thought his time's coming to an end in this series because I don't think another team would take a chance on him because whilst he's a quick driver, he's not showing that on a regular basis. I mean, he's made four dual appearances, which whilst on paper sounds really good. When you've got a teammate alongside you who is starting pretty much every race from pole position, if not on the front row, and is always in the duels, it very quickly paints a pretty bad picture for Norman. And my eyes, then it's something you hinted at, Jack, is kind of where did Nissan go for next season? Because
Yeah.
Taylor, whilst maybe would be, I mean, obviously a brilliant option, it depends on obviously on what Taylor's contract situation is. Because obviously, what it sounds like is that he's not contracted to McLaren Racing; he's actually contracted to
The
more the actual team itself,
Yep.
which is in Formula E. Obviously, McLaren is there is
We call it
almost.
the Ian James team at the minute.
Yeah, that's the best way of putting it. He's contracted to the Ian James team on a multi-year deal. So, and when I've asked Ian this several times, he's always said that, despite what's going on with obviously McLaren leaving, he has absolutely no concerns about Taylor and is, very much looking forward to seeing him blossom in his future. So you would imagine that the safe bet for Taylor would be that he'll be sticking with that Ian James team, let's call it. Maybe Nissan could try and get a deal given obviously they supply their powertrain to the. It's so weird saying the Ian James team, isn't it,
Yeah.
rather than not McLaren. But it's they need, I think, someone young Because if you're going to have
Yeah.
a driver that can, be alongside Oliver Roden, who's got a deal until it looks like 2028,
Yep.
he's going to be around for a while. You want a young driver to learn from the best. And I think it's something, I hope Nissan do it because I don't think experience is the be all and end all. It will be very interesting, I think, come Berlin to see who Nissan put in the car for the rookie test. Sorry,
Yep.
who they put in the cars for the rookie test, because that could maybe give us a small indicator at the direction it's looking at for season 12.
I just want to throw in there because we just talking about McLaren there. Obviously, we haven't really mentioned it, but obviously McLaren had Bristol Motion, which is where McLaren are based, had that huge fire on Thursday night. So, just want to say thank you to all those who lost their lives on
Yep.
Thursday night. But I wanted to ask about Nissan because we spoke about Nato's form. Obviously, we know he's missing a race. He's missing Berlin, and we're expecting Sergio Sette Camera to be the person
Yeah.
to replace him.
So Juris, yeah.
Is it if Norman hasn't performed by that point, would you put it past Nissan keeping Sette Camera for London, and saying parting ways with Nato then and there?
I don't think it would happen. I mean, I don't think that's particularly fair on Norman. I mean, to be fair, I'm glad you said that because maybe, is Sergio a good option for Nissan next year?
Yep.
Perhaps he's actually, you'd imagine he's the easiest option. Although with Sergio, there's in the risk, the fact that he's obviously not been in the series for a year, hasn't been racing single seaters. So you could almost look and think, do they instead take a chance on, who knows, a Victor Martins? That'd be quite cool. I'd like to see that.
Yeah. Someone said that in the chat, and actually, honestly, I think that for me would be my number one choice.
Yeah, I think Sergio would be the obvious one and probably the safe one, but I think Nissan wouldn't be afraid to look elsewhere because I think they've realised that Norman maybe was a mistake because you can't have one driver on 11 points and the other on, I think, 161. Like, that's it, 151 point difference between your two drivers after 9 races. I don't know if somebody can do some maths and do 151. Take away 11 and work out divided by 11. I was going to say the right thing.
I was about to say, I can do 161 minus 11. 161 minus 11 is quite easy, if I'm honest.
Sorry, mate. All
Well,
right,
100.
thank you.
Well, it's going to be around 14, 15 in it because you know.
So
Well, 133.
11 times by 9 is 99. 110. That is it's about 14, 15.
Yeah, it'll be around about there. With a
So
decimal
for every point that Norman's getting, Ollie is getting 14, 15. That is insane. It is insane. And the thing is that you don't see that difference in any other team.
13.72. There you go.
I honestly, if Porsche end up winning the teams and/or the manufacturer championship, there's going to be a lot of eyes and a lot of questions around Norman. And again, he's a lovely guy, don't get me wrong, but motorsport is ruthless. And with everything Nissan have going on, they're making another 11,000 people redundant, closing 7 more factories. Believe it or not, in the last year, they've actually cut 15% of their workforce. If they were to win all 3 titles, I don't think there's another manufacturer on the grid. It would mean more too, which is why Norman he's got to find something. Because if he does, it could save his career in Formula E. Because obviously, if he loses his seat, likely he'll just be WEC full time.
Yep.
Because this is massive for Nissan, and I really do hope they get along the line, and so does Norman.